Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome to the Soulful Contributors podcast. Today, I want to talk about love. I want to talk about what do we believe love is and what is actually blocking us from feeling it fully. This is definitely one of my favorite topics out there, and I believe that we have all like the how should I say, like we have a distorted perception of what love really is. We think that love is, finding your ideal partner and having a puppy or having a child. And yes, that is a part of love, but it's not, I wouldn't say that this is where love comes from. I wouldn't say that those external things are what creates the love within. So, there is a famous quote from, I think it's Rumi, that it's saying that we don't really need to learn how to love. All we have to do is to get rid of all the stuff that are blocking us from feeling it. And I know that the quote doesn't go exactly that way, but you got the point. And that's what I really want to talk about. I want to talk about the blockages that we made, the walls that we build around ourselves, and how most of the people just believe that it's normal. And a lot of people never ask themselves, why are we blocking the love, or why are we not feeling worthy of receiving the love, or just in general, why there's often this feeling that we can never get enough love. We can never feel loved in a big enough way, or even if we do, it's only for a short period of time. And there's a very popular book that it's around there. I think it's still one of the on the on the list of the best-selling book currently, even though it's been written for like years back. It's called The Five Love Languages, and it's actually explaining to you how you should love another person so that they feel loved. And even though I do believe that we have a different love languages and that we are receiving love in a different way, I still believe that all those rules, how should we receive love, or what should another person do in order for us to feel love, this is still a codependency, and this is still counting on external acts or external people to make you feel loved. And I do believe that the five love languages are getting us to a certain level, but not all the way to the unconditional love where we want to be. So yeah, so it seems like an interesting topic, so let's dive deeper into it. To start with, I want to share a little bit about my story and how I actually came to the realization that I never really wanted love. And this might be shocking for some people, but it's actually something that I would ask you to ask yourself afterwards when I'm gonna tell you the story, if maybe you are doing the same. So, this is actually back for like 2 years, maybe even more than 2 years, when I met my partner. So, the partner I'm currently with. So it looks like that it turned out well. But at that point when we met and when we were together, I felt like in the beginning it was like I immediately felt love coming from him. Like when he was looking at me and I saw those eyes, and I was like, oh, he's feeling love towards me already. And I remember in my head thinking, Like everything felt so great. Everything was so perfect. Like we were matching so well. I had so much fun with him. But there was like a thought within me, like I feel like there's something missing. I don't know what it is, but there's something missing. And at that point, I didn't know what it was. And even when we met in US, when I left US, I actually said that, I mean, we didn't immediately go into a relationship because I wasn't sure. I was still feeling like, you know, I don't know, there's something missing. And it was one of the, I would say, probably only relationships that I had where there was no drama, there was no game. And at that point, like when I was leaving US, I didn't realize that. I was just like super in love and crying my ass off for leaving him, but at the same time feeling like there's something missing here. And it wasn't until like 2 months later when I had, I would say, one of the best contrasts that I could have in my life, which was like I was actually craving to sacrifice myself to receive love. And because with my partner, I felt like I never needed to sacrifice. I never needed to prove myself that I'm good enough so that I could be loved. I was just loved like naturally. And it was really interesting to see how I wasn't able to receive that love because in my head I was not sacrificing anything. I didn't even prove that I am deserving of this love. I didn't do anything. He just loved me. There must be something wrong. There is something missing. Those were actually like the actual thoughts in my head. Now that I'm looking back, I feel like, oh my god, oh, you were crazy. Like, how the hell is like someone just loving you and you're like, yeah, but I didn't do anything for him to love me. So does he really love me? You know, it's like it was so weird. But as soon as I had the realization, I realized that up until that part, up until like meeting my partner, I never really wanted love. I just wanted to play a game. And that game was a game of chasing, a game of proving myself that I'm worthy of love, a game of always being in that uncertainty of like does this guy like me? Oh, do I have to act differently? Do I have to be like that? Do I have to do that? Da, 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 da. So it was a lot of like pressure on me to be a certain person that I was not, just in order for make the other likes me or love me. And it's really interesting because I see this pattern with, I don't know what percentage should I put out there, but it's like 90 to 95% of people, and in 100% of people that I work with, because it's usually, you know, if I have overcome something and if that was my big lesson in my life, and it still is, because I still have to remind myself that I'm choosing love and not choosing that ego game. I feel like that's why I'm attracting all the people that want to heal that as well. But in general, it's just interesting for me to see that we have a wrong perception of what love is. And when I was diving into this topic a little bit more, and I wanted to come to the core of what are the three main limiting beliefs that we have that are blocking us from feeling the love, I came to those three. So the first one is actually that we believe that love will come from outside. We believe that love is coming because someone loves us, or because we have this nice puppy that we can play with, or because we are surrounded with environment that is loving us. We believe that love is something that we can feel only as a result or as a reflection of the outer space. So we believe that actually what's outside of us comes first and then we feel the love. That's very conditioned love. That's not even close to unconditional love. That's the love that you can feel if you're playing those games. The second belief is that we believe we have to sacrifice in order to feel love, which means that if we don't do anything for that love, we don't appreciate it. Let's just take a couple of examples. Your mom loves you unconditionally. And would you say that you feel this love all the time? Or are you often like, oh, stop it, don't worry so much about me, leave me alone, it's okay. You know, we just try to push this love away because it's often, it's often like we haven't done anything for it, we didn't even try to get it, and it's not 100% into what we believe we need to receive from the outside to feel love. So when it comes to the second one, so that we need to sacrifice in order to feel love, there's also one very important part that I want to share with you is, as I was seeing it when I went through this journey and like feeling this for the first time, I felt like I would have, here's my heart, and I would have a blockage above my heart. And in general, I would just have a blockage there. I just wouldn't feel love if I wouldn't have the conditions around me that are beneficial or good, or that in my opinion allows me to feel love. So I would have the blockages here, and when I would sacrifice myself for someone, or when I would just like do something for someone to prove, or let's say I achieved something great, or I proved that I was good enough, I did something awesome, that's when I would open this up, and in this particular moment I felt the love that was coming in. So anything that came in, attention, love, just whatever, it's often not the real love, it's just how you perceive it. So if you just get attention when the blockages are away, you'll feel like, oh my god, I'm so loved, this is so beautiful, and then you will slowly start closing again, and then you will have to do something again to feel the love, to open up to the love. So this is a very, very common pattern in the narcissistic relationships, where you have a narcissist and an empath. Or I would just say, like, now this is a very like strong words that I was using, because in my opinion, we all have both empathic and narcissistic traits within us. We can all play both of those roles. Often it matters like who is the person that we are mirroring, that we have to play a mirror for them, and it also often like what is our way of receiving love. So some people receive love from playing a victim. They're always like, oh, you did that to me, oh, you were this one, So those are usually more narcissistic, because they point at us or at another person like, you didn't do that, you did that, you did that. So the other person, the empath, usually can feel guilty, and when we feel guilty, we want to like say, oh no, I'm gonna do anything for you, and then we sacrifice something so that we build it up, and when another person gives us love at that point, we just feel like, oh, this is the best love ever. If you have been through many different relationships, you probably know what I'm talking about. Those are the relationships that are like a roller coaster of emotions. There's always a peak which feels like euphoric. It feels like, wow, this is the best love I ever found. But then are also like the lower points which are terrible, so painful, and all we do is we just crave another peak. And this kind of relationships are usually very addictive, and that's why people have so much troubles getting away from it. And a, also it was also a situation for myself, I have to admit. It was something that I was always craving for. That's how I was used to cooperate with my partner, and it just doesn't work that way. It's not how we want the relationship to be. What we want the relationship to be is to be like a peaceful sea where we know that we are loved, and we don't need to create the drama. We don't need to create all those problems of who is guilty and who did a mistake and you have to sacrifice now or you have to do something to make me feel better. This is like a strict codependency where it's so hard to be happy, and it's basically impossible to live in this kind of relationships and feel 100% loved and appreciated, because it's all based, usually those relationships are working on guilt. So it's like trying to make each other guilty for the way another feels, which is totally conditioned. So if you are striving more for unconditional love, what you will need to do is to find out what are the blockages here and what is actually causing you to not feel love. And maybe at this point it would be awesome to ask yourself, were you also more used to playing a game than actually being loved or being in a relationship where you are appreciated for who you are, where you don't need to wear the mask, where you don't need to act like you're someone else? And if you are used to the drama and the game, like, don't feel bad, because that's something that is like super common right now, and it's something that I feel we all needed to overcome at some point, or we still will need to overcome in the future. So it's something that it's like, it's there, and I feel like that's why I'm so called to talk more about this distortion of love, and believing that love is something that will come from external place, instead of love being something that we feel from within. And then we have the third limiting belief, which is that we believe we need an excuse to feel love. I feel like this one is so big. We feel we need an excuse to feel love. I think this says everything about why we are not feeling loved all the time. We have so many excuses in our head. We believe like they have to bring us flowers so that I will feel loved. They have to say good morning sweetheart every day so that we will feel loved. There's so many rules that we have there. And as soon as there's something that doesn't happen, let's say if you're really used to good morning sweetheart, how are you today, something like very nice in first thing in the morning, and then one morning you get good morning and nothing else, what will this create within you? You'll start to panic, you'll start feeling insecure, you'll start questioning what's wrong. What is this tone? Why didn't he say my sweetheart? Almost basically stupid things. They're like so minor. And it's interesting because we believe that other people will live the way we want them to live, or other people will behave towards us just the way we want them to behave. And that's where the five love languages come in, because it's like, that's why I don't feel 100%, I don't buy 100% into five love languages, because I feel they're still, in a certain way, it's still about like trying to change another person to behave a certain way so that you feel loved. I definitely agree that it's amazing to feel appreciated, love, how those external things coming from a partner, but more importantly, it's about getting to know yourself and getting to know your partner. If a certain love language that you have and they don't, and for them it just seems totally stupid, don't try to force them to do this. Just try to understand them. I feel like understanding your partner is everything if you want to know when is that they're feeling loved. If they just tell you, oh, I show you the love in this and this and this way, I do believe you can start feeling loved and appreciated by the way they are usually doing it. So let's say if you have a big, receiving gifts language, so you just want to receive gifts from your partner all the time, and then your partner is like, I feel like gifts are just like, like a waste of money, or that basically buying gifts is just like something that the society came up and it's totally stupid, then if you would try to force them to buy you gifts, do you actually want to receive gifts by him or her feeling, oh, do I really have to do this? Okay, I'm just gonna buy this gift so that they will feel okay. That's not the energy from which you want to receive that. And I feel it's way, way, way more important to try to understand each other and find the common language and find the common solution of what it is that makes you feel loved and what is that makes them feel loved, but most importantly realizing that love in general comes from within. We just need a excuse to feel it. So let's say you feel miserable, and then all of a sudden you see a nice puppy coming to you, and it's just like starting to lick you and being all lovable to you. All of a sudden you can feel amazing, you can feel loved, you can feel so joyful within. Was it because of the puppy, or was it because you find an excuse to feel those things? It was because you find an excuse. And it's interesting because people have all those beliefs, all those rules around like, yeah, when this is going to happen, when he's gonna behave that way, when she's gonna do this for me, when, when, that's when I will feel the love. This will only get you to the conditioned love. It can never get you above that. And the unconditional love that everyone is saying that it's so awesome to have, it's not coming from another person. It starts with you. It's about trying to decode yourself from all the rules you have around love. So the first thing that I would recommend you is to actually do the investigation. Be aware of what are the rules you have around love. What needs to happen for you to feel love? How do people need to treat you in order to feel loved? And once you know the rules that you created, or actually I shouldn't say that you created, because they have probably been here way back for so many generations and we don't even know where they come from. But the thing is that probably we are the first generation that is becoming aware of them. So with doing this work, we have to be very gentle with ourselves. It's not like this will all of a sudden you become aware of it and it will all just disappear. It's gonna be a journey, and there's gonna be people that will awake old patterns within you. You're gonna have like that triggers, as we call them, when people are pushing the buttons, and then we go back into that child that doesn't know what to do and he's just shouting and angry, and we all do this. It's okay. It's it's a part of the journey, but the important thing is that you become aware of your patterns and that you start observing yourself and just start observing the rules that are around you and seeing how you are limiting yourself, how you are limiting your capacity to love and to feel love by the rules in your head. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to it, and stay tuned for more episodes in this direction. We're gonna talk about love, about healing these patterns for a while. So I'm really happy that I have you on board. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon. Ciao.